just having some minor delays, but welcome to the Q&A panel with everyone's favourite genocidal genetic life form and disc operating system, Mclain.
I really enjoyed my interview on the Geek Show. I thought you all were wonderful. Harry and Phil and Becca and Molly. Molly, and I know his secret name. I'm very pleased to be here. I'm very pleased to Naomi finally got me a program for Kitacon. Now, I want to see a show of hands. How many people thought it was pronounced Kitacon? Thank you. Now, how many people thought it was pronounced Kitacon? Aha, all right. Well, I was one of the majority. I thought it was pronounced Kitacon, and I don't think any final decision has been made at this point. So we can all call it whatever we please.
Thank you! Thank you!
Donkey Kong. Okay. That's good. That ages you. That ages you, Phil, to say that. You know.
Portal Con. Valcon.
Well, I must say that although I don't speak officially for Valve, the company that produced Portal and Portal 2, I can say that everyone at Valve is very pleased that the games have been so successful and that people like them. So thank you all very much. I'm looking at all these beautiful people in many very interesting costumes, very few of which I understand the significance. But I have an active imagination, so I'll come up with something.
Consider this a Q&A. I can go down and then, if people put their hands up, I can bring the microphone to them. You can pick out who you want to ask the questions of, if you like.
Okay, but I wanted to know, Harry, we're not working now.
This one's this.
Did you have a couple of general questions that we could start with? I don't understand the technology.
Improvised professionalism. I suppose I can help you. When was the first time you went to a convention and what was it like? Had you known much about the convention world before? How kind of sudden and shocking or surprising was the world of anime conventions?
Shocking. Very well put. My first con was, well, actually the first invitation that I accepted was Kitacon. It was the first invitation that I accepted. And subsequently, a young man at Anime Midwest realized that if he invited my husband too, my husband, John Patrick Lowry, voice of the Sniper, author of his own book, Dancing with Eternity, if he invited him too, I'd probably go, because I like going places with my husband. So even though Kitacon was the first invitation, the first one we attended was last June. And so this is actually my 6th game con to attend, but this was the first invite. And of course I was very interested. Yes, sure, I would get in on, sure, yeah. And I was speaking to the folks at Valve, you know, because I see them, you know, not as often as I should like, but quite frequently. And, you know, I asked them about the game conventions, and I said, you know, I sort of understand that, like, some people come in costume. And they said, oh, all people come in costume. I said, oh, okay, so it's just like Halloween all the time. I can understand that.
Pretty much.
Yeah, thank you, good question.
Thank you very much. Thank you. If anyone has any questions, please raise your hands and they'll dart out in front of you. Pick a person, any person.
Oh, the second row in the orange. In the orange.
Hello, what's your name? What's your question?
My name is Grace, and I know that you got your start in the world of acting through opera and comic. What is your favourite role from that world that you've done? Because I believe, are you mezzo-soprano?
I'm a soprano.
Yeah.
I'm a soprano. My favorite role is Susanna in The Marriage of Figaro, Le Nozze di Figaro, by Mozart. Everybody knows him. Great role, great opera.
And what's your favourite comic, sort of Rodgers and Hammerstein sort of world role?
I liked doing Julie Jordan in Carousel. And Carousel is, of course, based on the play Lilium. And I believe Lilium is a Czech play, if I'm not mistaken. And Lilium was a very popular play, actually, in the beginning of the 20th century. It was done internationally. And of course, you know, when it came to the States, it was done in English, you know, in translation. But Rodgers and Hammerstein wrote a musical called Carousel, based on Lilium, because the leading character of Carousel is a man named Billy Bigelow, and he's a carnival barker.
And he's dead.
Well, he
Spoilers.
dies. He dies later. He doesn't die in the beginning, but he is dead. He appears later in the play as a ghost. Because he marries, you know, when he's alive, he marries, his wife becomes pregnant, and then he does a robbery, and during the robbery, he gets shot and killed, and he goes to heaven, and they give him the opportunity of going back, and he says, no, I don't want to go back, I don't want to go back. Well, a few years pass, and he decides that he wants to return to Earth, and see how his wife is doing, and see how his daughter is doing. And his daughter is very unhappy. She's a teenager. And through, you know, the magic of theater and the magic of soul-to-soul influence, he influences his daughter's life and makes her life better. So Rodgers and Hammerstein were very attracted to this story because in the history of American music theater, they were the first people to write a musical about a serious subject. And of course all of this eventually, you know, stems from opera, and really I credit Gilbert and Sullivan with being the greatest influence on musical comedy. But of course, Gilbert and Sullivan were influenced by the Frenchman Jacques Offenbach, because Offenbach was actually writing musical comedies. And so, you know, sort of went from Offenbach to Gilbert and Sullivan, and they became very popular. And then, of course, Gilbert and Sullivan, did you know that The Pirates of Penzance premiered in New York? It played in New York before it played in London. And the reason for that was because of copyright laws. And if Gilbert and Sullivan did a show in London, there'd be all kinds of scriveners in the audience writing down what they'd written so that they could do pirated performances of the show. Interesting for pirates, pirated performances. That's probably where we get the term. They did pirated performances in the US and they didn't have to pay G&S, Gilbert and Sullivan, anything. So Gilbert and Sullivan premiered Pirates of Penzance in New York so that they would have copyright coverage so that they could make the money from their own show. And of course all of this influenced American musical theater. It's a very good question.
And just people come to the audience, we want to talk games, and I'm like, musical theater! Because I like music.
Good, so do I.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there another question?
With the hat. Yes.
What's your name and what is your question?
My name's Michelle. It's not a very serious question, I'm afraid, but if you were to complain to Life's manager, what would you actually complain about?
To whose manager?
Life's manager.
If I were to complain,
Yeah, to Life's manager. What would you actually complain about?
I have nothing to complain about.
and my question is, what attracted you to do the role of Gladys, the slightly manic, as always a bonus, but like the slightly sarcastic, genocidal machine?
Well, you all have to understand the life of an actor. We don't choose our roles choose us. It was the Valve Corporation. You know, they could have told me to, you know, roll over 3 times and I would have done it. I didn't audition to get the part. I really knew nothing about it except that they wanted me. They sent me a sound file, among other actors, sent us all a sound file, and I was supposed to sound like that computer-generated voice, because what they found is that particular computer-generated voice. You know, the voice on the subway that says, mind the gap, you know that? Same kind of thing. They wanted me to do this computer-generated voice because it was copyrighted. Gilbert and Sullivan, here we go again, it's all connected. And it would have cost them so much money to use this computer-generated voice, they realized it was cheaper for them to hire an actor. So that's how I got the job, because of all the auditions they received, I sounded the most like the computer-generated voice. That's why.
How did you take that? Was that a compliment or an insult?
I think it was an insult. But I was glad to get the job. Thank you. Thank you, John. Oh, I see a weird gloved hat. Oh, yes, my friend. I see your little friend that I met yesterday.
I really wanted to ask, no one really, Valve, when they made Portal, it was a little tie-in thing. No one really expected it to become as popular as it did, I imagine. So I was wondering...
Not at all.
So how did it feel when suddenly, you know, the entire franchise just suddenly took off and you've suddenly become like, you're this well-known character among...
Well, my first inkling that the game was a success is that I got a personal email from a fellow in Latvia. I thought, who the hell knows me in Latvia? And then I literally started to receive email. You know, people just found my email address, which are pretty easy things to find, and started writing to me from all over the world, which impressed me. So I realized that the game was popular. And working on the game, I had done 2 other games for Valve at this point. I had done Team Fortress 2, you know, the administrator, and I had done Overwatch and Half-Life 2. I think Overwatch was first. So I had only done 2 games, and I really didn't understand sort of the whole game ethos. But I did realize that I was working with very creative people, very clever people, very funny people. And so the work that I did on the first Portal game was so amusing. I just had a wonderful time, and a wonderful time working with these very creative people. So it was fun initially, and then when the game became so popular, that was, you know, a bonus.
Thank you.
I see a hand right there. Yes.
Hi, my name is Sarah. Just wanted to ask, I guess, in regards to both Portal games, where did you draw inspiration from in acting out the character?
Well, I've said this before and I'll say it again. My husband says I'm a very controlling woman. And I really am. And I try not to be that way. It's not a good way to be. I don't recommend it. I try to release and let go to the universe. But that is my ideal. That is not the way I am. So I think that, you know, this was all serendipitous. The fact that I'm sort of controlling and passive-aggressive and sarcastic was just luck for them, really. You know, the way that I am, which is not a very nice way to be, actually worked in the game perfectly. So a lot of the way that I say the lines, of course they directed me, the writers directed me, Eric Wolpaw and Jay Pinkerton, and then the producer, Bill Van Buren. You know, of course they gave me direction, but an actor has a somewhat limited vocabulary of emotion. You know, we really only have what we are. And we can imagine and put ourselves in different circumstances, but ultimately it's just me in these circumstances. Me wanting to test. Me wanting to find out this information, get this knowledge. So that ended up in GLaDOS.
Cool, thanks.
There is a redhead with a pink headband and a white gauntlet.
Hello, I'm Carrie, but my nickname is Gauntlet.
Oh, okay.
And I have two little questions. One, what was the line you had to say the most often or repeat the most?
That's a very good question. Some of the Portal game lines, all about deadly neurotoxin emitter and, you know, aperture science, and some of these kind of convoluted technological lines I'd have to say several times because I'd just keep tripping over my own tongue. So, you know, the iconic lines like, "You monster," you know, those are easy. But it's you know, the technical stuff that I'm actually trying to prompt Chell to do something, or prompt the player to do something, I just get tongue-tied and have to do those several times.
And what is your favourite line out of like all the character lines from both games? Do you have a favourite?
Well, my favorite line is the prompt that Bill Van Buren always plays for me whenever I have to record some GLaDOS, and I haven't in a long time, so I want everyone to write to Valve and say, Portal 3, Portal 3, Portal 3, Portal 3. Is the cue that he would play for me to get me back into the GLaDOS voice. Because I do a lot of other stuff, and so I kind of lose her a little bit. But the one that he always played for me, which I actually like, is killing you and giving you good advice aren't mutually exclusive. The rocket really is the way to go. I think that really is GLaDOS, you know. You know, she's giving the player good advice. She is. Ultimately, if the player dies because of the testing, that's not GLaDOS's fault. So I like to think of that as me. You know, I'm rather a tough teacher. I teach a bunch of kids to sing about music theater, and they range in age from 11 to 18. And I try not to be intimidating, but I'm very serious about their education. I really know what they need to know. They need to know what a quarter note is. They need to know what a treble clef is. And I'm a little bit, you know, no, we have to work on this now. I'm a bit harsh, and I hope I'm not intimidating, but you know, there are things that we do need to learn how to manage. We all have to manage a bank account. We all have to manage to pay our taxes. We all have to learn certain things in life that just smooth the way. Just smooth the way. We all have to learn how to be patient and kind and understanding, because this will make life easier for ourselves and subsequently make life easier for everyone we come in contact with. So there are things we need to learn. Music's one of them. I digress, I know.
That was an excellent question, Paula.
Ah, yes, Aston, and then you. Aston came from Belgium.
Sorry.
He has a wonderful Wheatley puppet.
Thank you. Actually, the one question I had was actually, what was your reaction when you read on the script that you were actually gonna be voice acting a potato? Because I can imagine you reading through the line saying like, oh, are you holding up because I'm a potato? And then having like something like, what happened?
Well, you know, at Pure Audio in Seattle, which is the recording studio that Valve always uses for the voice actors, you know, you always get there and, you know, I always go into the room where all the creative people are and, you know, I say hi Bill, hi Eric, hi Jay, you know, hello everybody. And lots of times at that point before I go into the recording booth, you know, they'll tell me sort of what I'm doing. And they, you know, Eric Wolpaw told me and said, and now today you're going to be a potato. And I said, what? Well, you have to explain this to me. What happened? What's happening in the game? And he said, well, because, you know, Wheatley takes control of the facility and your mentality, your personality goes into a potato. And the player has to take you with them on the portal gun, and you have to help the player. You and the player team up, and you're a potato. And I thought, oh my God, that is wonderful. I thought, what a wonderful idea. So I was warned. I was warned before I went into the recording booth that I was going to be a potato that day.
Okay, thank you. I just have one more thing to say, just want to test it out. This sentence is false.
But you see, I'm smart enough. That doesn't bother me a bit.
Potato power.
I am used to paradox because of Gilbert and Sullivan. Pirates of Penzance. A paradox, a most ingenious paradox. Ha 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 ha. A paradox. Do you all know pirates? Show of hands. Who has seen a production of the Pirates of Penzance? Not enough. Not enough of you. I wish Naomi were here. There is a wonderful international Gilbert and Sullivan festival in England every 2 years, and it's in a town called Butler, I believe. Butler, that American R. B-U-T-L-E-R. Butler or Bakley but it's a B word. I wish she were here because she knows all about it. And you can go and see Gilbert and Sullivan productions that have come literally from all over the world to this international festival of Gilbert and Sullivan. You must go. And go in costume. Yes, sir, right here. We're right here. Harry.
I'm a girl, my name is Steph, but
Yeah, but you're dressed like a guy today.
I'm Wheatley, so it's all good.
I'm so sorry. Of course you're a girl.
No, it's fine. My question was about the turret opera from the end of Portal 2. I read that you had to record lots of tracks so they could layer it. Is that right?
Yes, it's all me. All the voices are me.
What's that?
And then they're digitally manipulated. Mike Moraski, the composer, digitally manipulated it. So, you know, I'm a soprano, or I'm an alto, or I'm a tenor, or I'm a bass. But they're all me. All me.
How long have you been singing for?
I have been singing my whole life because my mother always sang with us. She always put us to bed with a song. So I know lots of lullabies. And, you know, eventually my sisters and I just started singing with her and would go on family trips in the car, you know, and we always sang rounds. You know what a round is? A cannon. Yeah?
Yeah.
Like, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, etc. And we would sing rounds, lots and lots and lots of rounds. And I just loved to sing. And I really knew, tell me your name. Stephanie, yes? Stephanie, I knew from about age 5 that I wanted to be a singer. I just knew that. I sang all the time. When I was by myself, I would write little songs, you know, and sing them to myself. And I really didn't have any understanding really what the life of a singer was, other than that I sang all the time. And I eventually, when I got a little bit older, I begged my mother for voice lessons, and she took me to a lady. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. That's where I'm from. And my mother took me to a voice teacher, and she met me and talked to me, and she said, no, you're too young, Ellen, you're too young. And then later, when I was in the 8th grade, I was 13. I know school systems are all different everywhere. But I was 13, and I was in a little, vocal competition in my little school, and she was one of the judges, and I won. And my mother was there, and my mother asked Mrs. Courtner, her name was Shirley Courtner, she said, is Ellen old enough now? And Mrs. Courtner said, yes, 13. Because really, you want to work with a voice after puberty. Because children's voices, girls and boys, children's voices are all alike, and they're all very high, and you really can't develop a child's voice. And it's really actually not very healthy. It's wonderful for children to sing in groups, and even, do some solo work, but you have to be very careful with a child's voice. But after puberty, particularly for young girls, boys' voices take a little bit longer to go through the bumpy period. But young girls after puberty are really ready to work seriously on their voices, and that's when I started. So I started studying when I was 13, and I just loved it. I had taken piano since the age of 5, and I'm the world's worst piano player, but I thank my mother still. Thank you, Mommy. Thank you for making me take piano all those years, because I'm a bad pianist, but I'm a good enough pianist in my voice lessons with people that I can play.
Can I ask you one last thing?
Sure.
I get stage fright specifically with singing, and I find it very hard to practice in an apartment where I know people can hear me. Have you got any advice for getting over that?
You must focus on your breathing. People say this, and I'm sure you've heard this, Stephanie, that the most important thing about singing is the breathing. And we all must breathe from our lower rib cage. Most of the expansion is in the front, where the diaphragm is, but you even expand in your back. But if you think about your expansion, taking a breath, I think a good exercise is to inhale on 4, exhale on 8, exhale on 12, exhale on 16. So you breathe in on 4. Because you want to start every practice session with breathing exercises, it not only will calm you down, but it will focus you to the center of your body, which is where every sound is actually generated. Even though, it's the air crossing past your vocal cords vibrating, but it's the air. And it's the control of the air. And if you focus on your breathing, I tell all my students this, if they get nervous in audition, I use this myself. If I get nervous in an audition, I always focus on my breathing. It's always smart to focus on your breathing.
Thank you very much.
In the green hair.
Hey, my name is Jessica, and I'm actually right now you probably get recognised in person more and more, but I was wondering if you're out in public and you got recognised by your voice ever?
No. No. Because I just look like, I have to say, a middle-aged woman. I just look like some, middle-aged woman that you all wouldn't be interested in at all. So I can, be very secretive. I feel like I should have a detective agency. Because many women say this, after the age of, 40, 50, we totally disappear. And the fascinating thing to me is now I have this claim to fame because of the Portal games. And it's like, oh, suddenly I'm famous? How did this happen? I have lived in obscurity and anonymity for many decades.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to the back. Let's go I see my friend, but you have had a question. But let's go behind him. Oh, there's someone with an interesting hat. I saw, yes, there's a hand. Yes, you, yes, yes. My eyesight's so bad I can't even tell what your hat is, but I see that you have a hat.
I don't know what it is. I asked you yesterday if today you could do the lemon rant in Carolyn's voice. You still wouldn't?
No, I remember that. Now, is this something about Celestia? No, this is something else. What do you want? Oh, Carolyn. What do you want me to do as Carolyn?
The lemon rant.
The lemon rant. Okay, so you're talking about J.K. Simmons' lemon rant, right? Kay Johnson's lemon rant?
Yeah.
I don't really know the words.
I wrote them down.
Okay.
I hope you can read my writing.
Oh, you have very clear writing. Okay, so this is a cold, as we say in the acting business, this is a cold reading. Now, my other disclaimer that I must give you all is Carolyn's voice is really very much like Ellen's voice when I've had 8 hours of sleep and I'm not jet lagged and I haven't been talking a lot and I'm feeling fresh as a daisy. So since I have none of these things right now, I will still respond to your request. Here we go. That's part of the preparation for singing.
When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Make life take the lemons back. Get mad. I don't want you damn morons. What? Oh, you damn lemons. I don't want you damn lemons. What am I supposed to do with these? Demand to see the life's manager. Make life rue the day it thought it could give Carolyn lemons. Do you know who I am? I'm the woman who's going to burn your house down with the lemons. I'm going to get the engineers to invent a combustible lemon that burns your house down. May I keep this, or did you? I'll sign it for you later. I'll give it back to you later. I'll sign this for you. Thank you. Oh, I see. It looks like a blue something. Oh, and big eyes. Big eyes. Stand up. Yes. Oh, ears. I thought those were eyes.
Do you have any advice for any aspiring voice actors?
Yes, I do. Study acting. You all are in the right place. Oh my gosh, if you knew what Anglophiles every American actor is, you would realize that you're at Mecca. You all live in Mecca for acting. Study acting. The best voice actors have done theater. The best voice actors. You know, some people, they're wonderful actors. You know, Judi Dench. Judi Dench has voiced a game. Did you all know that? I can't remember which one. But I won some award a couple of years after she won it. She won it, then the next year it was Frodo. What is that actor's name? I'm blanking. Say one person.
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood, yes. Wonderful actor. Wonderful actor. Elijah Wood won it after Judi Dench, and then I won it the next year. And I love to tell people that I won the same award that Judi Dench won! Oh my God! But, you know, she's done voice acting, but she's an actor. You know, she trained on the stage. So, that's the place to start. Absolutely the place to start. The Black Hand.
Hello, my name's Tom. You met me yesterday.
Yes, Tom.
It's a slightly controversial question in regards to acting. Would you recommend in a role, I've done shows for about 13 years and I've stumbled across this question a bit and I've never had...
You've done shows for 30 years?
13.
Oh, 13.
I
Okay.
wish 30.
I'm sorry, you're not that old.
I've stumbled across this question a lot but not got an answer. Would you recommend just doing as many shows as humanly possible, or forsaking the shows for about 2 or 3 years for professional acting degrees at, say, colleges and such? Which would you say are more beneficial?
I think it depends on your age, quite frankly. For a younger person, I mean, and obviously this depends if you know what you want to do. You know, I was very lucky because I knew what I wanted to do. A lot of young people haven't made that discovery yet. And I think that a general education is very helpful in helping people to find their path. Because in a general education, you get to try out a lot of different things. And through that study, through that investigation, you find your bliss. Now, I am quoting Joseph Campbell, the philosopher, you know, who said, follow your bliss. And I think that education is a good way to find this. I think that if you come to, for example, acting, what you're asking about, if you come to acting later in life, probably you don't want to go back to university. It's probably not going to work for you, although I have known people who have done that. But there is a way to develop your own curriculum. And I have worked with young people who I realized very quickly that an organized university setting would not work for them. That just wasn't their method of learning. But I did suggest you must take acting classes. They studied voice with me. You must take acting classes. You must take dance classes. You must put your own curriculum together. And so I think that one is not better than the other. I just think that you have to tailor your educational experience for yourself. And I think it's wise to get advice from people you respect. But ultimately, you're the one who's making the decision.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm giving Harry lots of exercise. Come on up, Harry. This young blonde. You know, I worked at a children's theater in Seattle. I've worked there a couple of times. And with all these little young children, we were taught very early on, you don't say that boy or that girl, because they all look alike. And you can't tell what sex they are, and I'm actually having that trouble today, too. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Hannah, and we were the people with the horns yesterday.
Yes! Yes!
And
how wonderful!
So, we were all wondering, you said that you don't know what most people are dressed as, so if we were wondering if you could guess what Alliant is.
Stand up, please. Turn around. Now, is this something that I should know? Is this like a trick question?
No, it's just, we were just wondering if you could randomly guess.
I have no idea. Orange, I see that. Orange.
Red.
The hair, your hair is orange.
Red. Might be the lighting.
Now, we have to talk about the color spectrum here. Red has more blue in it. Your orange has more yellow in it.
Okay, maybe it's an orangey red.
Yes, it is. Well, who are you? Hand her the microphone.
Kim.
I'm male.
Him?
Yeah.
See? I'm already way wrong.
Hi.
Hi. Well, you look wonderful. What's your name?
My name's Elliot.
Elliot?
Yeah.
Elliot, hi.
Hello.
But are you a game character?
A webcomic character.
Webcomic character. And what character?
It's called a radio sprite.
Say it again.
A radio sprite.
Aradia, A-R-A-D-I-A? Aradia?
Yeah.
Aradia spray, S-P-R...
Sprite. Like
S-P-R-I-G-H-T? Sprite?
Help me.
S-P-R-I-T-E.
S-P-R-I-T-E.
Yeah.
You all didn't know this was going to be a spelling bee. Aradia Sprite. And I imagine you're a magical character?
Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, what are the qualities of your character?
I'm dead.
All right. So sort of like Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Kind of.
I mean, I'm talking from my era, ladies and gentlemen.
My character was kind of dead first. Well, not kind of, she was dead. Then she sprited with a frog.
Sprited? Now it's a verb?
Yes, it is now.
How do you sprite with somebody?
Like that.
You just mix them together.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna pee.
No, and that gets worse. Incontinence really does come on your head. I love your laugh, Elliot. Okay, so Aradia Sprite is dead.
Yeah.
And what do you do? So how are you brought back to animation? How are you brought back to life?
She's technically not alive in this form because she's a sprite, but yeah, it's kind of like a ghost.
Okay.
But
okay.
This is a game that they play that is like it will take too long to explain.
Stop!
Oh.
Stop! Let me tell you about one.
Let me tell you about myself.
I'm glad you're here with friends, Elliot. We all need our friends.
I'm kind of all-knowing in a game called Scrub, so
all-knowing, sort of a character that's all-knowing.
But I'm not allowed to tell anyone this.
Oh, I see. So you're like psychic. You're like psychic.
Kind of.
Uh-huh.
Go with Elliot. Stop explaining how to do it.
I can't help it. She must know.
It can't be explained.
So if I go online, I love to
Go on
Google
MS
things.
Paint Adventures.
Well, but if I just Google Aradia Sprite, will things come up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. I'm gonna write it down.
Hello?
I could have seen that I was
I'm just going to leave my friend Tom's hands. He's from Team Network. He's very capable.
Hi, Tom.
Hello, ma'am.
So, did you have a question?
No, would you...
But I bet you can find someone with a question. I'm trying to find a pen that works so I can write down Aradia Sprite.
Harry.
Blue on blue.
Oh.
Red has blue in it.
Oh, we've got a badass over here.
Okay. Don't kill me. Don't kill me.
Your choice, Tom.
I was just wondering, is this the first time you visited the UK? Have you enjoyed your stay?
Is this the first time you visited the UK? Are you going to vote for separation? should become the King of Scotland. Am I in the right area?
Yeah.
No, this is not my first time in the UK. I have a wonderful voice student. Her name is Fiona Maguire, and she's from Dublin. And she came to the States, just traveling around, ended up in Seattle, and she studied voice with me for about 6 years, and then she said, well, I've always wanted to live in London, so I'm moving to London. Well, she moved to London, and she found a husband. And so, before they were engaged, my husband and I, John Patrick Lowry, author of his own book, Dancing with the Giants, had promised Fiona that we'd come visit her. So we came over and we met Tony, her husband-to-be, but they weren't engaged yet. And then we came over again for their wedding. John and I performed at their wedding. I sang a Gershwin song. I love George Gershwin, and John played the guitar, accompanied me. And we were at their wedding, and then we came over again 2 years later after the birth of their son, Dylan Emerson Jordan, wonderful name. And now I'm back to see her. I'm so pleased to be here. Kitacon gave me a great trip, and I'm going to see them on Tuesday, and she's pregnant with her second child. So I have been here. It's all because of Fiona. And it's all because of Fiona that I wanted to come back.
And is there any place in America you would recommend seeing?
Seattle. Definitely Seattle. It's the most beautiful city. Well, I like New Orleans, but Seattle is a beautiful, beautiful place. And you know, when John and I, one of our trips, the 03 trip, we went up to Scotland, we went to Edinburgh, we went to Glasgow, we went to Oban, we went to the Isle of Mull, because all of the Mclains come from the Isle of Mull. And so I saw my castle, Duart Castle, D-U-A-R-T, wonderful place to visit. And then there's another castle, because centuries ago, in the 18th century, there were two brothers, and they got in a fight, but they were both Mclains. And one built Lochbuie Castle, and the other one built Duart Castle, and they didn't like each other. And I actually think that I'm from the Lochbuie line, because I'm L-A-I-N. Because the Duart line is L-E-A-N. They even changed the spelling of their name because they didn't like each other. But we're all related. All the Mclains. We all came from the Isle of Mull. I love Scotland. Did I answer your question? Okay. Ah, that hand back there. Yes, Tom, yes, that hand back there.
Hi.
Hello.
I was wondering if you enjoyed working on the Defense of the Ancients 2 game and the voices of Death Prophet and Broodmother and...
Oh, yes. Yes. You know, that's I don't know, maybe it's an interesting story, but when they first started working on Dota 2, they sent out a lot of auditions, and since they've used a lot of actors from my particular agency, the Actors Group in Seattle, we got all the auditions. So I auditioned for about 12 different characters. And of course my husband got hired, John Patrick Lowry, author of his own book. He got hired and I didn't. And I actually talked to Bill Van Buren later, who's the producer. You know, he produces all of the games. He's always in the studio when the actors record. And he said, Ellen, you know, you did wonderful auditions, really wonderful work, but we're saving you for something more poisonous. And I thought, oh, okay, so I'm just the villain now. But then a whole nother, isn't that great? That's a Southernism, another whole nother, that's how we say it. A whole nother series of auditions came out, and I auditioned for other characters too, but they asked me to do Broodmother, the big spider, Broodmother, and a little spider names. And Death Prophet. And I love both those characters. They're wonderful. It was great. I recorded them both the same day. And all these, you know, the creators of Dota 2, they're all young. They're all like you know? And I don't think they were impressed by me at all. And I think Bill Van Buren was sort of embarrassed that they hadn't used me for anything up to that point. And he was kind of relieved. No, you gotta use Ellen for something. Because I'm close and I'm cheap. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that was really good. Are you going to be doing any other characters from Dota 2?
I hope so. You can also write to Valve and request that. Use Ellen more. Use Ellen. You want to use Ellen more. Bill said that I actually was going to get hired for a sort of normal character, but that hasn't happened yet.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, let's see. Let me make Tom's life a little bit easier. Not you in the front row.
Hi, my name is Steph.
You're both Stephanie.
Yeah, we're best friends.
You know that everybody in America is named Jennifer. Did you know that? Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm glad to hear that they use another name here.
Well, I don't know how this is going to come out because I'm not really good with words, but...
Neither am I. They're all written for me.
Well, first, before my question, I'd just like to say thank you for coming all the way because we've studied acting.
Good.
We're acting students,
Good.
and we know how hard it can be for actors.
Where are you all in school?
Pardon?
Where are you in school? Where do you go to school?
Well, we just, where did we come from? Well, this is me giving me great credit for the fact that I did acting. This is not going well, but anyways, yeah, we come from Hull, and which is East Yorkshire, and thank you, whoever went woohoo, and God, I'm so nervous. We were doing acting for 2 years at Hull College. We both just finished it last summer. And this one is actually carrying on in University of Acting at the moment as well. Anyways, what I wanted to ask was, even though we did acting in that, they didn't really control much about voice work, which was very, very sad because I love acting both ways, but I would love, that's my main profession I want to go into is voice acting because I've been doing my own different voices since I was little, and I just would like some tips on, is there any other way I could start out for that, because I know you get acting auditions for like physical acting, but is it different from say an audition for a voice acting?
Well, yes, and nowadays all voice acting auditions, they send you the copy by email, and they want you to make a little home recording. You know, we use, I always forget the name of this program. Pro Tools. Digital performer. Does that ring a bell? I'm getting a nod. Digital performer. I think that's the program that we use. You have to buy your own microphone, you know, and hook it up to your computer. I'm very lucky because my tech support is John Patrick Lowry. He works out all of that for me because I may be an Anglophile, but I am a technophobe. So, what I would recommend, besides perhaps getting into a speech class, where you study vocal production, not necessarily singing, but using your breathing, using relaxation, learning how to control your voice, I would just set up your home studio and record yourself. and record, you know, different voices. Well, this is, you know, this is my voice, this is my shopkeeper, or this is my Marilyn Monroe voice, or this is my Helen Mirren voice, you know, from Prime Suspect. And I would just record these individual voices, listen to them, have your other friends, Stephanie and Stephanie, listen, give you some feedback, and then re-record, because we voice actors have to be very aware of how we sound. So it is our job to listen to ourselves after we've done the recording. You know, the first recording is just acting. You're acting. Then you listen back and you edit what you've done. You know, what did I sound happy enough? That's so much for commercial work. Oh my God, you have to sound so happy all the time. And when you go into the studio, they always say, could I have more smile, please? More smile. Yes, you can have lots of smile. Oh, I'm smiling so hard. But you see what I'm saying is you need to just practice recording yourself and listening back to it, and getting feedback from it.
Yeah, just one last quick thing though. Is it good to like record like original characters you've made yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. My voice demo that I put together in '02. Some of the, you know, because I went to a professional producer. You know, I had this done professionally because you want it to be good. Because it really only is about a minute. Your voice demos only needs to be about a minute. And they gave me copy to read, and they, you know, produced the music underneath. I remember I did a commercial for Lexus, you know, was one of the things that I did. But then I also had some recordings of some characters, and I added some characters, because Veronica, the producer who put it together, she said, what voices do you do? Well, I had to stick in my Southern Belle. You know, I had to put her in there because, you know, I was not born talking like this, but I learned how later, you know. So I had to do some of that. And I also think that the influence of my husband, you know who he is a dialectician. He is a master of dialect. And he made me more aware of accents. And you know, you all have fabulous accents here. And I have to tell you a story. But also in the States, you know, there's not just one accent. There are so many regional accents, and my husband can do all of them. And we were here, one of our trips, we went down and saw the Pleasure Palace in Brighton, and there was actually a murder mystery going on in the palace, you know, that you paid for that, and you could go on the murder mystery. And I have to say, quite frankly, that my husband I didn't think that the acting was particularly good, and that made us so happy, because it's the worst British acting we've ever seen, which wasn't bad, but it was, you know, it was below Helen Mirren, it was below Judi Dench. But the dialect work was fabulous. So, you know, that's something else to be aware of, Steph, is you really want to be aware of your own dialect, not to lose it completely, but to lose it when you need to lose it. You want to be able to do several different dialects. You know, Bob Hoskins is a wonderful actor, and when he comes and works in the States and has to do an American accent, it's not just some American accent, it's always very specific. It's either New York or New Jersey or Chicago or a Southern accent. I mean, he's very specific in his dialect work, and I try to be.
Hello, we were meant to finish at 3 o'clock.
And I talked too long.
It's all
See,
your fault. One
more question. Okay, the people who are madly pointing. The girl who's been madly pointed at. You are a girl, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello. I wanted to ask, obviously in the first Portal you were kind of the only talking character, so was it nice in Portal 2 to have so many characters who were able to talk back and you were able to feed off the dialogue?
Well, you know, of course I never met J.K. Simmons and I never met Stephen Merchant, but in my recording sessions they did play for me the sound, you know, sound bites, sound files of what they had done. So I did have other actors to react to bounce off of. And that was, yes, that was wonderfully helpful. And you know, the character of Wheatley, that's just a great character. And so much of that is Stephen Merchant. And so much of Cave Johnson is J.K. Simmons. These are both wonderful, wonderful actors. And wonderful improvisatory actors.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I want to thank everyone. I hope, you know, if you didn't get to ask a question, that somebody else asked your question. And I'm very pleased to be here. And thank you so much for coming in to listen to me jaw.